Welcome to the Still Curtain podcast. It's Sunday, October 26th. For 27 more minutes after Sunday Night Football, the Pittsburgh Steelers are 4-3 following a 35-25 loss to the Green Bay Packers at Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh. I'm Josh Yourish, joined by Mark Powell of FanSided.com, and it's time to blow it up.
Yes, absolutely.
The Steelers embarrassed on national TV for the second consecutive week after a Thursday night loss to the Cincinnati Bengals. And now the 2-5 Baltimore Ravens are the betting favorites to win the AFC North. Where do you want to start? The board's wide open. There's all kinds of stuff to talk about with this. We can talk about Rodgers versus Jordan Love because that's kind of the prevailing story from the broadcast. To me, there's another matchup that I maybe want to go to between TJ Watt and Micah Parsons and the difference there between the two highest paid defensive players in football. But the board is yours. It's wide open. And I would also like to bring this to attention from John Edborg, loyal fan in the chat. Ass.
Yeah.
Sums it up pretty well.
Yeah. We can just start there. No. I do think, like you said, the prevailing national storyline here is going to be, Rodgers versus Love, Rodgers' failure against his former team and all that. But that doesn't.
He had beaten
really
31 other teams in the NFL. This was his first chance playing the Packers in what he said is not a revenge game, but obviously kind of was a revenge game. And he wasn't the biggest problem tonight.
Yeah.
He wasn't a solution.
No.
But wasn't the biggest problem tonight.
Yeah. So I get that's the national narrative, and it should be for someone like Rodgers who spent almost 20 years with the Packers franchise. I totally understand that, and that's probably what most of SportsCenter is going to be tonight. But from a Pittsburgh fan perspective, I mean, how much longer can we watch this sort of thing happen? I guess that's where I'd like to start, really.
Yes. I think that's a perfect place to start.
We're going to get to it, or we were going to get to it at some point, obviously. But I'm tired of the Tomlinisms. I'm tired of no second half adjustments. I'm tired of an organization that's just built to go 9-8. I'm tired of performances like this on primetime, rooting for a team, which most of its stars, frankly, they play like they're older than me, which is not a good thing. I'm 32. That's not great.
And some of them
some of them are older.
But a few, an alarming amount.
And it's just I'm tired of a team that can't develop young offensive talent. Defensive talent, they can still hit or miss on, obviously, but offensive talent, it's just it's frustrating, man.
I'm tired of offensive line problems prevailing for years. I'm tired.
That list could go on for the I'm tired of list.
Wide receiver. I'm tired of stale vanilla game plans by a defensive coach with the most expensive defense in the NFL, and we can say that as I don't really have many issues with the way the roster is put together. I understand in a vacuum the reason a lot of the moves were made. This coaching staff doesn't get the most out of it. I would. So we've seen in college football this year a lot of just rash coach firings the day after big losses, and obviously we live in reality. We deal in reality, and that's not how the Rooneys operate. And it's likely not. It may not even be in the cards for the Steelers to fire Mike Tomlin at all this season or at any point. There is a very real possibility they will never fire Mike Tomlin, and it is up to him when to walk away. But not with those constraints in mind, I would do it tomorrow. I would do it tonight on the field. It's the same old thing. I don't care about no losing seasons. I don't care at all. I mean, I laid this all out in a podcast on Monday. all of the reasons to fire Mike Tomlin, all of them were on display tonight. This same bland vanilla defense that every good offensive, not even good, addendum, every half decent offensive coach in the NFL, every quarterback with a pulse who's not a rookie can torch this defense because they know what it's going to be. It's going to be spot drop cover 3, hit the quick outs, hit the seams for explosives, right? Hit the underneath passing game. The Packers couldn't run the ball in the first half. They go away from Josh Jacobs, who was banged up with a calf injury last week. He was the week before. Like, he's just not been 100%. As soon as they turn to Emmanuel Wilson, they could run the ball just fine. This is not some big solution that the Steelers have. This was, okay, Josh Jacobs just didn't have it tonight. Go somewhere, go a different way. Torched on the ground, torched through the air. I have it on the thing rolling at the bottom. Jordan Love tied Brett Favre's Packers franchise record
while playing Aaron Rodgers, which is hilarious.
Yes, playing Aaron Rodgers with 20 consecutive completions. How do you, if you're a defense built on getting pressure on the quarterback and having tight coverage on, like Chris Collinsworth kept talking about, they brought in these veteran defensive backs so they could play man coverage, they could blitz more. And they did in the first half, and the blitzes kind of got home, and they were living on a razor's edge like they have all year. And the Packers don't have a number one receiver, so it's not like, oh, Jalen Ramsey just got cooked by Jackson Smith-Njigba, or Darius Slay got cooked by Garrett Wilson, or they both and all of them got cooked by Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. No, this is Tucker Kraft gets a little here and a little there. And then the floodgates eventually open because you can't keep winning that way defensively. It's an archaic game plan from a coach who is still stuck in 2008. Like, it's over.
No, that's a valid point. Well, you know when I knew that this game was about to turn on its head? When Mike Tomlin was interviewed before halftime, and he said we need to keep stopping Josh Jacobs. And then when the second half started, like you said, the Packers went to Wilson, right? And it's like, I was like, there's no way Coach T planned for this. There's no way. There's no way they were talking in the locker room like, okay, what adjustments
about any possible
are we gonna have to make on
adjustments?
defense?
Yeah.
What do we have to do to be better here? Because in his mind, it's like, okay, we gave up 7 points. We're stopping Josh Jacobs. That was my game plan going into today. We've done that. That's all we have to do. And no, Matt LaFleur is a good coach. He's a good offensive. His schemes are solid. He knows the Steelers defense very well because it doesn't take a rocket science to understand it at this point also. So, like, am I surprised that Tomlin couldn't keep up with Matt LaFleur's, adjustments? Not whatsoever. But it's the same story every week. And when we're asking ourselves, will this quarterback be able to carve a Mike Tomlin coach defense? First thing I look at is, how old is this quarterback? How many years has he been in the league? Is it over 3? Probably then. How many starts has he made? Is it over 20? Probably then. So it shouldn't be that easy to predict this defensive scheme, especially with the players that they have. Yeah. And like some of that's execution defensively. Like, I'm not trying to absolve players of blame here. They need to be better. They're vets. I totally get that. But they're very clearly at this point not put in the best position to succeed. And they've made 0 changes of note to try and put them in those positions. So like I don't have anywhere to turn but to blame coaching. Yeah. Like, I would love to be able to be like, oh yeah, Darius Slay sucks, because he does. And I could blame so and so, but like it's on the scheme. It's always been the scheme. And
this past week, after the Bengals loss, we heard the secondary communication errors, like storyline come back up that we heard last year. That is, I think, a big reason that Minka Fitzpatrick's not on this team anymore. He kind of became the scapegoat a little bit of, oh, the secondary just isn't communicating well. I won't hear it on the communication. One, that's a coaching issue. Even if it is a communication problem, that's still on the coaching. 2, I don't think it's a communication issue. I think it's a scheme that these offensive game planners know how to prepare for so well that they just out leverage it. They break the rules of it constantly. You saw it on the quick Tucker Kraft catch and run in the first half where the Steelers were in base again. They were in too heavy of a formation because they play far too much base. They had like 6 or 7 bodies around the line of scrimmage. Nobody was able to Patrick Queen couldn't get out to Tucker Kraft as he leaked out to the flat. Jordan Love dumps it off to him. He runs for 20 yards because their secondary can't tackle on top of that. So that's another issue. But it's just they're constantly out leveraged.
Yeah.
Like they know how to get numbers in places. They know how to manipulate this defense. Like you're not changing it enough from a week to week or down to down basis for them to be surprised by anything they're getting thrown at them. You're not disguising pre-snap. Some of the NASCAR packages that we've talked about wanting to see with multiple outside linebackers out there came back this week. Some of the simulated pressures came back this week, and it worked in the first half. But then you run the same stuff again and the same things behind it, you're going to get cooked eventually by a capable NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
It's mind-numbing that we're still doing this, and it's just accepted nationally and even locally that there's no way that the Steelers could ever move on from Mike Tomlin because he'll be hired in a day, everyone says. Okay.
Yeah,
Let somebody
I believe it.
hire him. He is a great culture builder.
Yeah.
He's a great, I say Monday to Saturday coach. Like, I think he manages a lot of things really well. He is outmatched on game days consistently, and it's done here. The defense isn't even playing hard. Like, they're not tackling well in the secondary. On the last Tucker Kraft touchdown, Chuck Clark took a terrible angle, which now he's going to be the starting safety all year because Deshaun Elliott's out for a long time.
I had that written down too.
That's disastrous. He's been a nightmare in coverage, and if not him, it's Jabril Peppers. He takes a terrible angle, and then Thornhill just gives up on the play. And like, you're probably not going to bring Kraft down, but you didn't even hit him on the Savion Williams touchdown in the first half for early in the second half because they scored on 5 straight possessions in the second half. Darius Slay didn't even try to make a tackle at the goal line, like no physicality at all. The first big play for the Packers in the first half was a Malik Heath screen where they just said, I dare you, 32-year-old Darius Slay, make a tackle in the open field. I bet you can't do it. You can't. Like, if I was playing against this defense, I would demand that we call 8 to 10 screens a game because they just can't tackle in the secondary. Dare their secondary players to tackle, and they just can't do it. Like, this team is so bad. We bad boys, Shane. Shane says in the chat, thank you, Shane. I think I know who Shane is because I think we got this message a little earlier. We bad boys. We bad boys. Yeah. This team is not going to talk about winning a playoff game. Maybe they limp there. I don't even think they can get there. The trade deadline's coming up. Blow it up.
Yeah, that's where I was going to turn, actually. That was my next question for you. After what we've seen the last 2 games, I think I know what Mike Tomlin would say to this question. But obviously you and I are probably going to have very, very different answers. Would you consider adding anything at the trade deadline? Would you consider?
No. Oh my God.
Would you consider selling at the trade deadline?
Yeah.
Because I know that they're not. I know
everything that's not nailed down.
They're not going to do the second of those things. The latter, there's a 0% chance. I'd be shocked if they sold unless they just get absolutely cooked next week. Then maybe
I don't even care. They should. It's malpractice not to. It's malpractice. It is malpractice to have the most expensive defense in the NFL and have these performances and to give up 31 points to the Jets. Was it to give up what they did to Joe Flacco and the Bengals? Like, for a second in the first half, I was thinking maybe this defense will be a little bit better because they're maybe a bit better suited to play the Packers because they don't have a true number 1 receiver that's like just an easy button, you know, like, okay, maybe. And no, they get embarrassed in the second half. The score was uglier than it was not as ugly as this game was. It could have been much worse if McManus could hit kicks.
That's true. Yeah, he missed 2. We totally forgot that.
I would sell everything that's not nailed down. Like, I would completely blow up this defense. I see no point of continuing down this path on that side of the ball. Like, there's some fundamental stuff on the offensive side. I don't care. Like, blow this defense up because it's aging. and it's bad. And if you can get any draft capital for it, you should do it. And then you should seriously evaluate who's making the decisions with that draft capital. Because Omar Khan, I think he's a good GM. I think he's a good evaluator, but this is ugly.
Well,
like, I think I would make a change with the coach first, but I think you have to evaluate it. This is disastrous.
Yeah. Well, there's a comment here in the chat. What the hell does Tomlin have on the Roonies? And I think that's a little bit dramatized, but it's not that far off, frankly, because like when you look, Tomlin pretty much has complete control of his coaching staff. That's why Matt Canada was able to hang around for so long.
That's why he was even remotely considered.
That's why Terrell Austin is still here. When Mike Tomlin is kind of pushed to actually make changes to his staff, I mean, what's arguably what's been the best thing about the Steelers this year? I'd argue Arthur Smith. He's been pretty solid. Even tonight,
Arthur Smith as the interim head coach of this team is better.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, when Tomlin is forced to make those harsh calls because the front office actually holds his feet to the fire, he can do it. But Tomlin very clearly has the Roonies. Yeah, I don't think he has something on the Roonies, but the Roonies trust him more than they trust the
because they fetishize stability. Like they're more into the idea of never having a losing season,
totally,
so they can continue to maybe sell tickets down the stretch of seasons. They never want to see the stadium empty. They never want it to be a lost season, and they love the idea of this franchise has had 3 head coaches since Chuck Noll. We just know how to do it the right way. Well, maybe that's the wrong way to do it. You should pull the trigger eventually. But I want to circle back a little bit to like roster construction stuff because which I always tend to do. Yeah. But I brought it up when we were kind of jumping into it, like Micah Parsons versus TJ Watt. Because I think you saw tonight the reason that a lot of people, not just myself, had trepidations about this TJ Watt contract relative to the other players getting paid at that level. And Micah Parsons surpassed TJ Watt's contract. He's now the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the NFL on average annual value. Watt was that player. Micah Parsons completely wrecked shop this entire game.
Yeah.
Any late down situation, they put him stacked over the nose tackle so he could pick which guard he wanted to go one-on-one with and absolutely embarrass them. And he did it to Mason McCormick early. He did it to Spencer Anderson late. When he was on the edge, the Steelers could prepare for it because what do we always say about TJ Watt? If they don't move him around, he's not nearly as effective. You can slide your line that way. You can chip that way. If you're moving a player like that around, and you can do it so much more with Parsons because, one, he's just a whole hell of a lot better than TJ Watt, and he's so much more versatile, and the coaching staff is more willing to try stuff like that. You get such a compounding effect on the rest of the defense. Anytime the Steelers were in 3rd and long, they had absolutely no shot. And part of that is the offensive line and the lack of development there. The Steelers went 1 of 10 on 3rd down in this game, and it felt worse than that.
Yeah.
The Steelers should have never paid TJ Watt that contract when you see what similar money is getting the Packers.
Yeah. I still like. I understand the thought of it, but I don't agree with it. I'm with you there. After tonight, Parsons leads the NFL in QB pressures for the season, which is not surprising because he's Micah Parsons. He's awesome. He is,
and he's another tier.
He's in the middle of his
Watt.
Yeah, and he is in the middle of his prime, whereas TJ is exiting.
The time you should pay a resetting the market contract.
Yeah, TJ is exiting his prime. I think we like the one position we've seen the Steelers can pretty consistently, I guess, develop has been that outside linebacker spot, that pass rusher spot. So I am a little concerned that they did, or not concerned, but just surprised that they didn't kind of bank on themselves there a little more. I mean, obviously, Herbig, we've talked Herbig. Highsmith is pretty solid, right? you've got other guys that you could draft moving forward too. And like, I would trust the Steelers to draft and like develop at that position.
So that's such a good point, and brings me back to something I kind of missed when talking about Tomlin and the stability point. Trust yourself as a franchise, right? Like, trust yourself to develop other options like TJ Watt. But why my face lit up when you said that is my whole point, back to the point of Tomlin, trust yourself to make another good hire.
Yeah.
You're good at this. You're not the Jets. You're not the Browns. You're not going to cycle through coaches year after year because you're a dumpster fire of an organization. Why do you not trust that you'll find another good head coach? That's all you've ever done as an organization. You went Chuck Noll to Cowher to Tomlin to somebody else who will probably be here 15 years and be really good, and then it'll get really stale at the end and you'll have to move on, and that's fine. But like, trust yourself as an organization to make that hire. Sorry to derail where we were going.
No, fair though.
That it's just such a thought I have about, okay, yes, they believe in stability. You have organizational stability. Mike Tomlin is not that stability. Everything about the Steelers is that stability. So you can move on from him and the whole thing will not implode, except for the fact that Tomlin has kind of created power vacuums all over this franchise. Yeah. There are no young developing coaches. He has nothing of a coaching tree. So there's never really any brain drain. There's never any conflict there. Omar Khan is a GM that came in after Tom. Like, it's kind of the power dynamic is a little flipped there. So maybe that's your fear, but your organization is strong enough to withstand firing a coach once every quarter century. Like, just do it.
Yeah. I mean, like, one of the, honestly, like, if I had to grade Omar Khan since he came on versus grading Mike Tomlin since Omar Khan was hired, I think Khan gets a higher grade. I mean,
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And, you know, they've done a great job building out the line of scrimmage. It would seem, at least, you know, the early returns here with like Andy Weidel, obviously.
Not on the offensive side, though.
Not
like,
on the
Roger
offense,
Jones was so bad again tonight. And,
he's rough.
And you end up, oh man, it's just frustrating. Everything about this team and this roster is frustrating.
Yeah. I want to circle back to the defense a little bit.
Yeah. No, let's pound it.
To the Watt Parsons point specifically. In the first half, at the end of the half, they showed a graphic comparing Parsons and Watt, and their statistics, including QB pressures, sacks, pretty much everything relevant to the pass rusher, you know, basic stats, were pretty much on par. And then the Packers made adjustments. They started using heavier sets against Watt, and the Steelers didn't move Watt around. The Steelers did not make adjustments against Parsons, and that is why Parsons was even more of a wrecking ball in the second half, whereas Watt was just, you know, I don't want to say irrelevant. He was there, but like it was just,
he's fine.
It was much tougher.
He's a very good,
yeah.
He's a very good edge rusher. Like, Micah Parsons is a difference maker. And to your point of like the game planning and the adjustments, it is a whole hell of a lot harder to make adjustments for a player like Micah Parsons when you don't know where he's going to be.
Yeah.
Like, it's not this idea. I think there's still a lingering thought of like, Parsons is also a linebacker. No, he's not. He has not been a linebacker since his second year in the NFL. He's a full-time edge rusher. That is why he got paid $45 million a year. But he is versatile as hell, so you can move him all around the line of scrimmage. He's not coming off the line of scrimmage, but you can put him anywhere there, and he's going to cook anybody. He's strong enough to hold up as a run defender on the interior if you need him to. Like, he's just amazing. And this is comparing TJ Watt to the best defensive player in the NFL. Yeah. So it's a little bit unfair, but not when you're the second highest paid defensive player in the history of the sport.
Not when you see the contracts.
Yeah.
So saw a stat towards the end of the game, and this is Watt adjacent, but I think it's just related to our frustration. The last 19 possessions against the Steelers, their past 7 quarters, Steelers have given up 7 touchdowns, 8 field goal attempts, and they've only forced 4 punts.
Oh my God.
Worse than I thought, frankly. I knew it was bad, but worse than I thought, honestly. Yeah.
Worse than I thought, yeah.
And this is from the Pittsburgh Tribune, so I want to make sure that I give credit there. But rough.
it's so broken. And how do you not, like, there are obvious personnel flaws with this defense. I think Patrick Queen is one of the worst starting linebackers in the NFL. I think there are weaknesses on their defensive line. Their coverage, their secondary situation, their safety spot is terrible. Like, there are issues personnel-wise. But still, you have so much money invested in this unit to get this performance consistently out of it.
Yeah.
It's not a one-off. It's not, oh, this coach really got us. Oh, Joe Flacco just has our number. No, it's literally every offense with a pulse. Like, my point was, to get this performance consistently out of this defense is a fireable offense.
Yeah.
Like, it is. I don't care about anything Mike Tomlin has done throughout his career to be a defensive coach and for multiple years in a row get these types of underperforming defenses. It's a fireable offense. The Steelers have beaten Justin Fields, allowing 32 points.
Yeah, barely beat Justin
Drake
Fields.
May needing 5 turnovers to do so, and no turnovers on their side. So a +5 in the turnover differential.
And they'd lose that game if they played today, I bet.
Oh, by a lot.
Yeah, by how many?
Carson Wentz and Dylan Gabriel.
It just hurts. Every quarterback you read is pain.
Bad football team. And coming up is Daniel Jones. And I saw a stat today that the Colts, through 10 games, I'm going to butcher it because I'm just trying to pull this off of my brain looking at Full Sky. But are like the most efficient offense in the history of the sport through not 10 games, through 8 weeks. Like, it absurdly efficient offense. They're going to put up 50 next week. After that, Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Then, oh, look, it's Joe Flacco again.
Ugh.
Caleb Williams and the Bears. I don't think Caleb Williams is great. I think that offense is going to score 30. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Like, I'm not going to read the whole schedule. It gets a whole hell of a lot harder than Justin Fields, Carson Wentz, and Dylan Gabriel. This is a bad team. And if you're a bad, aging, expensive team, you blow it up. That's the only path out of this. I've been squinting for 2 years on this show trying to find the Steelers a path out of purgatory, right? And I just keep coming back to, if you hit on all your draft picks, you can maybe do it, and then you can luck into the quarterback. And we can talk about Rodgers like we have to eventually.
Of course.
I don't, like, they kind of did hit on the quarterback. He's
been better than I expected.
It's crazy. I'm saying this from being the Rodgers is washed guy. He's been pretty good, way better than any quarterback play they've had for years. And to completely squander it and squander a really good season of play calling by Arthur Smith, where I think he's been super innovative with this jumbo personnel stuff, with this defense, you have to blow it up. Like, what other option is there?
Yeah, I mean, this has been the I guess excuse fans have made for Tomlin for pretty much the last, ever since Ben retired, even latter, I guess career Ben, was that, well, he doesn't have a quarterback. He's a quarterback away. Look at what he's doing with this roster that doesn't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
Here's the quarterback. He's not perfect, but like he's a top 15 quarterback in the league probably right now. Yeah, we close to that.
We could split hairs, but he's close to that. He's a passable quarterback. Clearly passable.
And now so we rewind to our preseason pod when we made our Steelers predictions. When I predicted the Steelers would win a playoff game, I did not do it thinking Rodgers would be this passable. I thought he'd be fine, but I thought the defense was going to be their strength. I thought that's what was going to drive them forward, and maybe they get a favorable matchup in the first round. I feel extraordinarily wrong, first off. Second, that was Tomlin's excuse for the last half decade. What are we doing here now that now that excuse has been taken away from him? He's more exposed than he's ever been.
Yeah.
And they're not going to fire him mid-season. I like you wouldn't be shocked if he stayed around beyond this year. But I need to see some major overhaul type stuff. And it better not start with adding at the freaking trade deadline, or else I might have to come on.
Oh my God. If they worked so
like a wide
hard,
receiver 2 or something, like I'm just going to lose it.
And that's a problem, right? Like
but I don't want it.
It's not worth solving. It's not a problem worth solving because they have such a fatal flaw on the defensive side. Like if we want to talk about the offense,
sure.
The Packers did a really good job taking away their quick game stuff with such a fast defense. And I knew this was going to happen. Like I've talked about this. This was my whole, this offense isn't sustainable argument, was somebody's going to press you. Somebody's going to have the speed to tackle all this underneath stuff. And you're not going to get all these yards after the catch. And largely that did happen. That's why a lot of drives stalled out, and Chris Boswell was amazing. Don't trade Chris Boswell because he's one of the best kickers in the history of the NFL. But so they found answers for that and forced the Steelers into like 3rd and long situations.
Mm-hmm.
And so you saw a lot of Rodgers' weaknesses. He doesn't want to hold on to the ball. Like he can create outside of structure a little bit, but he got sacked a lot tonight because he just can't really move against a defense this fast. It's a really good defense. Other than that throw to Roman Wilson in the first drive, like holy smokes, that was amazing. But even though it's not a perfect offense, it has like answers to it. And to the wide receiver 2 point, you saw when they got into 3rd and long, the Packers would get pressure and would create one-on-ones for Micah Parsons. Rodgers had to get it out quickly, and no one was really open because they were pressing. And this was my point with the Steelers. Like, if you're going to blitz as much as you do, and the Packers didn't really blitz, but like if you're going to blitz as much as you do and force teams into quick throws, play press, like play, you have to try to cover those up because you know the play's going to end in like 2.5 seconds. And the Packers did a really good job of that. The Steelers didn't have anyone that could win downfield. That is a problem. It is not the thing that is going to unlock a Super Bowl team. Like it's so irrelevant to talk about. I mean, it's not, we can talk about the offense more. And I think they're in trouble if Sayamalu's out long-term and they have to use Spencer Anderson at left guard because you lose him in those jumbo sets. Yeah. And I think that's one of the best adjustments a Steelers offensive coach has made in like years, like maybe a decade. But it's just it's so pointless with this defense. You have to, Aaron Rodgers would need to be 2018 Aaron Rodgers or 2020. I guess 2018 was like kind of his weird lull, but like 2021 or whatever, Aaron Rodgers to make this team even have a fighting chance against good teams because their defense is just so bad.
Yeah, I was, I can obviously, I can make points about Rodgers. I feel like I'd be kind of splitting hairs though. Like frankly, like this, they put up 25 points. Their drive stalled. Whenever they got behind the chains, they were pretty miserable.
They put up 19 points. Yeah, because the Packers were playing total prevent.
Okay. Yeah. Nonetheless,
but still,
my biggest qualm with the offense was how they came out in the second half. In the first half, especially in that second quarter, they ran the ball very well. In the second half, I'm probably getting the stats somewhat wrong, but it was either 8 of their first 10 plays or 9 of their first 10 plays in the second half were throws. And this was before the Steelers were down like 2 possessions or even down.
Yeah.
They were winning the game. And I understand that the Packers probably made adjustments to try and stop the run, but it's not like the Steelers did much to try and run the football at that point.
Yeah.
And heck, they even finished the game with over 5 yards a carry, and that's without much of a presence in the second half. So my question is like, what, I very much, I'm also a big Artie Smith fan. I think he's done a fantastic job this season. That was confusing to me, I guess. And it felt like there was really no other way that they were going to win that game. Like they weren't going to win that game with Rodgers' arm. There was a 0% chance. They had to win that game running the football, and they won the first half running the football. So I was confused why they kind of went away from that a little quickly.
My answer to that, and it may come off as like a defensive Arthur Smith, is I think the Packers, which are a team that is reluctant to play 3 linebackers, like they live in nickel. They're one of those teams that lives with 5 defensive backs, 5 or 6. And the Steelers force you to go heavy. Like, that's why I love the multi-tight end stuff.
Yeah.
But Rodgers has so much autonomy at the line that I think once he started to see those looks, he just like a lot of that is just those now screens and just like where it's not even an RPO, but it's just he sees it and throws it. And the offensive line's blocking run and everything. I think, and how they stalled out so quickly, I just think it got into it quickly kind of spiraled into, oh, I saw a couple matchups I liked, I threw it, and now we're behind the sticks, and now we have to throw it, and suddenly we're punting. Which is what is the issue with an offense that relies on so many quick passes, because if you don't catch one of them, you end up behind the sticks and you don't have an answer. And again, like, my critique of that is it's an offensive line issue more than it's a Rodgers issue. It's still a Rodgers thing because I think he doesn't want to get hit that he won't stand in an extra second. Like you saw, we juxtaposed Watt and Parsons. We can also juxtapose Love and Rodgers, and maybe that's the more natural comparison. Love stands in there, man. Like, he'll take shots, and the extra half second is really valuable.
Yeah.
Especially when you're trying to create explosive plays, and you like the stuff he was able to get to out of structure, the throw to Tucker Kraft that Deshaun Elliott just like kind of stopped playing coverage on. That was a 59-ish yard completion. He was completely wrapped up and just like threw a prayer. You're not getting that from Rodgers because he would be self-sacking before that. And that is a Rodgers critique. But also this offensive line, like it doesn't stand a chance in pass protection. That's why they need to rely so heavily on play action. They need to rely so heavily on the run game. And that would be perfect if they had the defense they thought they did.
Yeah.
And you were playing with leads all the time. Like the offense is built to be super complimentary of a good defense. And that's just not there.
Yeah. This team was built through their defense. I mean, their payroll suggests as much. It's like it's
their first round draft pick on a defensive lineman.
Yeah, it's not rocket science. To the Rodgers, getting the ball out, that's obviously going to be a strategy throughout the season. But even the last like 2 weeks, they had a stat early on in the game that showed he was holding on to the ball like 0.3 seconds longer or something the last 3 weeks.
Significantly, yeah.
Which is something. I haven't seen the stat for this game, so
I'm pulling it up right now. Yeah. Oh, it's not there yet.
Yeah, so like I don't know if that's changed, but that was somewhat encouraging coming into the game. But yeah, just like I just feel like the line was definitely took a few steps back this game, and with the injuries, it really concerns me moving forward to playing teams like the Colts, the Chargers, and really just. One quick look at the schedule is it's enough to give me some nightmares, I guess, with some of these defenses,
And the time to throw like being higher to me was a big 2.83 tonight, which is like pretty high.
Yeah.
Some of that is late game stuff. Some of that is out of pocket creation. I'll be interested to see like how that's divvied up when we have more numbers. And more tracking data. I think like a lot of it, I don't know, it's so many problems rolled into one, right? Like it's a wide receiver core that only has one real threat.
Mm-hmm.
It's an offense that, needs to use a lot of heavy play action and stuff. It's Jonnu Smith being on the field at all, like being a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And the time to throw thing, it's a QB stat, but it's also a protection thing because that number was really inflated against Cincinnati. I think it was over 3 for the game, maybe because there were those 7 seconds might be extreme, but at like 5-second dropbacks where he was just buying time, and a lot of them were in the red zone because that team has no pass rush whatsoever. And the Packers have one of the best pass rushes. Like, that's a great defense.
Yeah.
To put up 19 points is underwhelming because they had to settle for so many long field goals. And like, it felt like it could have been a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a bad number. Like it's still not bad. Like this is not a bad offense. This is not a bad offense. It's not the problem.
Yeah. It's just not the biggest problem. I feel like it's one of those things, and like I can already see some of the headlines from like tomorrow about how Rodgers scored under 20 points. Tomlin doesn't have an offense again. Why are Steelers fans blaming him? All blah blah blah, just because we've seen it time and time again. But yeah, the offense is not the problem. It's really not. This defense is probably I think the worst I've seen from them maybe since I started watching, and that's crazy to think about. It's up there.
The 21 defense,
like there might be some outliers. I got to really do a deep dive there. But
No, that's just off memory. Like I'm just thinking of, I think it was the Chargers and Vikings games that year where they were just getting so gashed on the ground. I might have that wrong, but like really bad. There were some in the 2017 defense really fell off a cliff once Shazier got hurt, obviously, and then 18 it was a problem. But yeah, this one feels uniquely bad because they just can't dictate anything. Like they can't silo you in any way, because it's not like they're boom or bust in that they're getting a lot of takeaways and a lot of sacks, but they're giving up explosives. So you can like happen into a 3 interception day. Like it, as Shane brings up in the chat, which his encyclopedic mind will probably be better than this. Some of the mid 2010s defenses were both bad and lacked talent. Yes. Maybe it's expectation based as well, of like, we think this one should be good. It's the most expensive defense in the NFL.
Recency bias
and recency bias, definitely. So yes, but this one feels uniquely frustrating in terms of the last couple years. Because to me, like, as I was saying, they can't dictate anything. They give you so much in the quick passing game. They let you run the ball like crazy. Even when they play base, when they put big bodies out there, they don't stop the run. And some of that is Keanu Benton at nose. Some of that is Peyton Wilson and Patrick Queen being problems at the second level. Some of that is poor run fits from the third level. Like, it's issues everywhere. So you can't even, there's no one pain point. It's just everything.
Yeah.
Everything. I hate everything about this defense. If you made me pick one thing about this defense that I hate, it would be everything.
If I had to pick one thing, man, we went down the darkest timeline here. If I had to pick one thing, it would be I think missed tackles for me just always irk me. And
they're not a good tackling
defense. I think we see a lot of that in the secondary, especially. I do want to point out Tyler's comment here. We don't have to put it up, but I can just read it. It's bad when the offense is not the problem, and that is the area where Tomlin has the least involvement in. Honestly, I don't think I could have summed it up any better. So thank you, Tyler. Just wanted to make sure to call that one out, because man, it's rough out here, boys. It's rough.
Oh man. I feel like we should stay on the offense like a little bit more.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it's going to be so. I'll pose a question, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
With Anderson now maybe at left guard, we don't know about the Seumalo injury, like the severity going forward. But assuming that Anderson is now at left guard, and it's pretty difficult to replicate what he was doing, because I imagine it will be fairly like, it's easy to say, oh, now you just put the new swing tackle in that role. Like, I think that's pretty tough to do.
Yeah, no.
Do you think it unravels in a real way without that jumbo stuff, or they just plug and chug Darnell Washington next to Pat Freiermuth and it's mostly the same?
I'm gonna have to take the unravel option, unfortunately.
I kind of think so too. Like that's
Yeah,
so
I
much
just
the
you know,
advantage that they found.
I think Darnell he's a super talented player. I think he's a part of this team's future. Like I very much like watching him play. I think it's a lot to put on him to assume that like he could kind of hold that jumbo position kind of in place despite having kind of backups on either side of him in some cases. You know, like it's a lot to ask from him. And you know, I don't have a ton of confidence in the tackles to begin with here. I mean, Broderick's Broderick. You know, I don't want to.
Oh my God,
I
he's
don't want to.
just so
I don't want to
bad.
go down that rabbit hole because
It's so done. Like it's so I had almost no hope going into the season that it would get better, but to me, it's so done with him. Like,
rough.
and I don't even know what the numbers look like from tonight, but the outside zone they tried to run his way in the first half, that Enagbare just sidestepped
Yeah.
him inside.
I had that play circled. I was going to bring that.
Oh
I
my
figured
God! Like,
you'd have something to say there.
and yes, that is like he's supposed to kind of lead him into, you know, it's kind of a tandem thing with him and Sayamalu. Like it's a unit thing, but it's also you got nothing on him. Like you whiffed. That's not you just hold that edge. Like you got to work to the outside. You keep working that stretch, but he whiffed. And there are just so many plays a game where he just looks like he's got no shot.
I just think he's a backup tackle, man. Like,
like he's just not a good player.
He's fine as a depth tackle, but like he has that first round tag, so like, you know, we expect more from him. But if he was a backup on any other team and had a lower salary with it, I feel like we just be like, yeah, you know, this is a backup. We can't expect too much from him. And I expected too much from him even going into this year. We had this conversation. I was like,
and rightfully so. They traded up in the first round to get him.
I was like, I think Broderick could have this has to be the year for him, and it's very much not the year for him. And you know, I'm also kind of concerned about what I'm seeing on the other side with Fautanu. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yet I want to give him some time, but it also hasn't been super pretty there. So,
and that's the developmental piece that you've mentioned a couple times. Like,
rough.
I don't trust this coaching staff, be it like Mike Tomlin or his deputies in any facet, you know, Pat Meyer in this case. I don't trust them to develop young players, and that's why they've had to rely so heavily on free agency, like on both sides of the ball. And it ends you up in a place where you're expensive, you're old, and you're bad. And the only way out of that is to sell off the parts and draft and try to redo this thing with a multi-year lens. And all of the solutions, you know, because you talked about like, and you're not the only one to have the opinion of like, you know, maybe Broderick, maybe it'll just happen. It's got to happen. So like, hopefully it happens. A lot of the solutions for the Steelers coming into this season or from this point forward are just wish casting.
Yeah.
Right. Like they're just like, it's got to happen, you know, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, I saw there's a tweet like in the third or fourth quarter or something that I think summed up my thoughts on the Steelers drafting very well. And it was basically especially on the offensive side of the ball, the Steelers draft players for what they are, not what they can be.
Yeah.
That's how they draft offensively. They don't draft based on potential, based on like development, or maybe they think they can get some of these guys there, but they never do. So the players they draft are pretty much as good as they're going to get. So if they're not, you know, super talented rookies who are like generational talents, then, you know, you're kind of stuck with just that level of player for, you know, 5 years.
We're going 3 wide.
Oh, geez.
Shane Kubis, Steel Curtain contributor, Wednesday host with Tommy, has been active in the chat. So I sent him a link because it felt like there were some thoughts rattling around in that brain of yours.
Let it all out.
You needed to get off.
Let it all out, man.
So the floor is yours.
Listen, guys, as somebody who hasn't fully covered this team, like full-time covered this team ever until this year, boy, I picked the year to do it, didn't I? As I'm typing away, getting stuff ready for tomorrow morning on steelcurtain.com, everybody check that out. You can hear all of our frustrations from us as a site collectively. this is one of those games that just makes you remember that this team is always going to be the same team in this current state. They have a lot of the same problems, and even when the problems are different, they still feel like the same type of thing, just in a different font. It's the defense can't do anything right in key situations. Before it was the offense couldn't do anything right in key situations. And it's always the same thing but different, right? And I know you've talked a lot about this, Josh. Tommy and I have talked about this a lot. They just can't put it all together at the right time with this current group that they've gotten together the past 4 or 5 years. And what are they going to do to change it realistically? I heard you talk about earlier, Josh, that like what could they possibly do without completely blowing it up for it to actually be different, good or bad, right? I just want it to be different. And I think a lot of fans want it to be different. I want to wake up one day and be like, this team either can do this or they can't. Not like, well, we'll see. If the defense gets 4 sacks and 3 turnovers this week, they might win by 3.
Yeah.
I don't want that to be the case anymore. I simply don't.
That 9-8 mentality.
Yeah. And that's where it's at.
I mean, I talk about it constantly of like Tomlin tries so hard to boil every game down to turnover margin and just drag everyone down into the slop. And like, that's okay when Duck Hodges is your quarterback and you have no talent. That's the best course of action. But when you actually have like kind of something cooking on offense and you're supposed to like, it's just every time this team plays a good team, it's a reminder, as you said, of how far away they are. And I don't see, like I said, like you said, I said, everyone said, like, what is the path out of it? Like, Shane, would you fire Mike Tomlin? If we live in reality where the Rooneys are the owners of the Steelers, and this will not happen, would you fire Mike Tomlin tomorrow?
I think what they should do and what I would do, given the circumstances that we have where he is under contract past this year again, I think what I would first do is I'd let the season play out the way it's going to, because I don't think it's going to change that much regardless of what they do at this point. You brought up like Arthur Smith being the like interim head coach would be very funny to me for like a lot of reasons. But so maybe that'd be fun for like probably like 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, you'd get a bump and it would
for sure, the coach bump. But I think you go into the offseason with the intention of trying to bait a team into trading for his services, because I do think, and I've been on this train for a couple of years at this point. You can, everyone who's watched our shows on Wednesdays with Tommy and I, or even yours, I've probably talked about when I've been on yours.
I think we've batted it around.
Like, I think that he is still capable of being a good coach. I just don't think he's the coach for this football team anymore. What he offers you and what he offers an organization is no longer what the Steelers need from him, right? And I think that's very clear to almost everyone, even those who are his biggest fans, right? And there was a lot of years where I felt like I had to defend the guy because, like, a lot of Steelers fans, for plenty of reasons, some of which I won't talk about, but we all know what I'm talking about, did not like him very much. And some of them had good points and some of them didn't. But I think everyone who is a fan of the team at this point should recognize that the best path forward is for him to find somewhere else to bring his brand of coaching and for the Steelers to move into, let's be honest, the modern era of football and try to find someone who, like Tomlin, is a young up-and-coming coach who, whether it's offense or defense, I prefer offense personally, but whatever.
I would greatly lean offense.
But if you're not going to, someone who is on the forefront of defensive football, right? Like
Jesse
someone,
Minter.
That's a good one, obviously. Someone of that type of ilk, right? What he brings to this team at this point isn't needed. We have a veteran roster. We have a bunch of guys who have done this for a long time. They don't need his, like, whatever charisma he has that gets these guys to play better. That's not going to cut it anymore. That's, again, so, like, I would try to see if someone would trade for him and, like, that Sean Payton-esque type of thing. Maybe you get somebody to do that, but if not, then yes, I think you do have to send him on. And if he wants to keep coaching, I'm sure he'll find a job. If he doesn't, so be it. But that's what you have to do at this point.
And this would be the most coveted head coaching job in like maybe all of
the best job
sports.
Security in the history of the world.
Yeah. It's like you're going to be here 15 years.
What are you afraid of like not getting a good coach? there are active head coaches in the NFL right now that would probably leave their job to coach the Steelers because they know they could do it for 20 years. Like it. Okay.
You just have to be okay, honestly.
I have another question for you, Shane, and I know you've talked about it throughout the season. Like my frustrations with spot drop cover 3 being so predictable and just quick outs and slants and seams, killing them forever. Yeah. And also like there are pass rush issues. Like there are amazing, a myriad of things. What is your biggest issue with the defense, like schematically? Because I know you're watching it in that way.
I think the biggest thing that I keep coming back to is quarterbacks seem to know exactly where the pain points are when they're targeting guys in coverage. They're targeting Patrick Quinn. They're targeting a young Peyton Wilson, who frankly, as good as he could be, isn't playing as well as he did as a rookie right now, partly because I think teams know that they can pick on him a little bit because he is a little bit slow to react to things still. Darius Slay is a guy that you have to get off the field, right? Like, I'm sorry, like it doesn't really matter what coverage you're running with him because he's 34.
Yeah.
Like, I think this team got like 2 good seasons out of Joe Hayden like 5 years ago or however long now. And they were like, oh, old corners.
Yeah.
They
can do it again.
We could just do this forever.
Yeah.
So they're doing that. And like, again, you talked about like the cover 3, like I think a defense that has the safety play that we have has no right to be able to play single high safety coverage almost ever. You do not have the athleticism in the secondary to do that. You don't.
You could do it with Minka Fitzpatrick.
Exactly. Why do you think that we did that? Well, especially like the first 4 years or so.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's just too clear for opposing offenses that they can't cover past like 2.5 seconds most of the time. And it does not matter. You could have prime TJ Watt on this team right now. And yeah, you'd get like a couple more splash plays a game, and he'd probably do some stupid crap that only he can do because whatever reason. But even if you had that, you can't rush the passer effectively when they don't have to hold the ball past 2.5 seconds. It's not possible. It's literally, it's just a time constraint issue.
Yeah.
Nick Herbig is like the fastest dude off the edge I've ever seen. He still can't get there in 2 hours. It doesn't work that way. So when you know as an opposing offense that, okay, I know where I can get quick hitting plays to, I know what parts of the field is not going to be covered well by their shell defense they like to run in most situations, you kind of lose at that point. If you're not facing Dylan Gabriel, who I'm sorry is not an NFL quarterback, when you're facing Carson Wentz, who is an NFL quarterback body and not an NFL quarterback mind, when you're like, these are guys that you can get because they're going to hold the ball for a beat because they don't know exactly where to go with the football.
Because they don't see it.
Exactly. Justin Fields, weirdly enough, kind of worked out. We just outscored him.
Yeah.
Like whatever. But that's the kind of issues that they have right now. And you can't solve those by adding players into it. You have to solve them by adding like scheme to it. It's not as simple as let's just go get 4 secondary players that we think are good. The problem is one of them is
they tried.
maybe good, right? Which makes it harder. But even if all of them are good, it's like, okay, what are you going to do about it? Like, that's definitely the biggest problems with this team.
Mark, do you have any questions for Shane before we let him back to his writing? Because gosh, a fantastic breakdown. We love adding to the frustration.
Yeah.
Also, can I just say before your question, I've been like one of the most pessimistic Steelers fans all season, even through the hot stuff. Looking pretty good now.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Don't you love when you're right and it only hurts you?
Oh, you have no idea how big my ego is. It doesn't hurt at all.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad it doesn't hurt you.
I feel like I've surpassed you.
I'm just kidding. It hurts deeply, but I'm just trying to cover it up. But Mark, go ahead.
I was gonna say I feel like I've surpassed you as most pessimistic Steeler fan in just one episode. I don't know how.
That might be true.
I was just on with you enough that I think eventually we just had to get
through.
There.
You know.
Yeah. So Shane, I guess my question, we haven't talked Tomlin trade stuff.
No.
But, what would you think would be a reasonable return there? And we talked ideal replacements, offensive mind, whatever. If you could pick anyone in the league to replace him that could theoretically be available, who would it be?
I think the biggest thing is, and I think this is where I think the Steelers are going to be. And I think this is where I think the Steelers are going to be. And I think this is where I think the Steelers are going to be. And I think this is where I think the Steelers are going to be. And I think this is where I think the Steelers are going to be. And I think this is where I think the Steelers are going to be. And I think this is where I think the Steelers are going to be. And I think this is where I think the Steelers are going to be. And I think this is where I think the Steelers are going to be. And I think this is where I think the Steelers are going to be. And I think this is where I think the Steelers are going to be. And I think this is where I think the Steelers are going to be. And I think this is where I think the Steelers are going to be. And I think this is where I think the Steelers are going to be. And I think this is where I think the Steelers are going to be. And I think this is where I think the Steelers are going to be. And I think this is where I think the Steelers are going to be. And I think this is where I think the Steelers are as far as the return, I think if you get a day 2 pick, you're happy with it. Like you're
Yeah.
probably not getting the Sean Payton like first round
God,
pick
no.
thing. Like
Yeah.
it's just teams
I'm
are probably
dancing
not
in the
gonna,
streets,
yeah.
but yeah.
It'd be great. But yeah, I'm assuming you're not doing that.
Mhm.
Then there might be an organization out there that like is so desperate or just like so highly views Tomlin that maybe they're like, whatever. Probably not though. At least not a team that's also bad because then you're not giving up like a top 10 pick for him, right? As far as replacements, there's a couple that kind of jump off the page. I think offensively, Clint Kubiak is a name that I think needs to get some attention here quickly with what he's doing with Seattle right now. I don't see what he did with the Saints until they all died, like 2 games in the last year. He had Derek Carr looking like not Derek Carr basically for like 2 weeks, and that whole thing didn't really work. That's definitely a name to watch out for. I think you'd mentioned Minter, Josh, earlier. Like that's obviously kind of one of the hotter names defensively, but Chargers, like they're lacking some talent, but they've had a couple rough games where I'm like, I don't know. It feels like something that would happen to the Steelers with their talent level. But he's definitely somebody to watch out for. Obviously, like, it's a little bit dicey right now too because it feels like it's kind of being propped up by talent. But Joe Brady with the Bills is another name for sure. I think he probably might need another year though to kind of iron some stuff out before he does that. But those are definitely some of the names I would look at there.
Well, hopefully we are looking for them. Hopefully the Steelers do move on from Mike Tomlin. Yeah. Thank you for hopping on with us, Shane.
Yep.
We'll be wrapping up here in a second, but we got a little bit more to get to because we're over the hour mark. Just final thoughts all around. Mark, final thoughts of this embarrassment on national TV.
Oof. Well, look, I feel like I've said all I can about Tomlin, the defense, really just everything. I want to circle back to probably the most simplistic viewpoint I can have, which is don't wear those jerseys again.
Thank you.
Stop.
This is a point.
I am wearing the only jersey that they should wear. It is the block numbers black jersey at home. It is one of the best jerseys in football. Please don't mess with a good thing. I could use a different word than mess if I wanted to. Stop.
These made me miss the Bumblebees really hard, and that's
my God, me too. The Steelers were so bad today. It took an hour and 2 minutes for us to bring up how awful those jerseys were.
Hey, win for the jersey, guys.
I forgot that's what they were wearing. They were so bad.
Maybe this was all just like a PR statement. They just wanted us to not think about it.
Now they can never wear them again. Shane, final thoughts?
I tried to convince myself that this wasn't going to happen, and I picked this team to win this week because I was like, that's what they do. They win, they lose the stupid games, win the stupider games. It's whatever. But they didn't even do that. They disappointed me twice in 2 weeks, which I'll have to get them for that somehow. I don't know how yet, but I'll have to figure it out.
Well, I think I have a feeling there are going to be quite a few thousand words on stillcurtain.com this week attempting to do that. So everyone, please check out Shane's work. Final thoughts from me. Yikes. We got a long season ahead of us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for hopping on and joining us. I will be back tomorrow with a whole lot more final thoughts, deep diving this game. Shane will be back on Wednesday with Tommy, and then Mark will be back next week, hopefully talking about a less embarrassing result from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Until we all see you then, first of all, I didn't mention it, but like and subscribe to the Still Curtain podcast. Absolutely. All three of us would really appreciate your support. Other than that, have a good one. We'll talk to you. And as always, go Steelers.